Hey YouTube, it's Amber Roy, fellow modern hippie, and today I thought it'd be really fun to take you guys on a little tour. So today we're at the property of my boyfriend Stefano.
Hi.
Whose family has been cultivating this land for 5 generations. And the part of this land that his father specifically cultivates feeds our family of 4 almost completely, almost exclusively. So super excited to show you guys around, and stay tuned. All right, so the first stop on the video is gonna be the chicken coop. And this is because they're animals and I love animals, and I'm really excited to get a chicken coop of my own one day. But we have here in this chicken coop, we have 9 chickens, 2 of which are male, 7 of which are female egg-laying hens. And so we take about 6 to 7 eggs per day from these chickens, and there's a few intricacies when raising chickens for eggs here in Italy. So you'll notice that we have, oh, there's the rooster. You'll notice we have a few colored balloons, and that is because of the pigeons who kind of destroy the netting that we've put up. And the netting is there to keep the weasels out. So we actually lost, he's got something to say about that. We actually lost 4 chickens a few weeks ago to weasels. So we've secured the chicken coop once more, but he's just not, it's early morning, so he's excited. So yeah, that's the chicken coop. This is kind of what it looks like. We give them a lot of scraps from the table. They also have a corn, like grain diet as well. And we do a lot of water catching here on the property. So here you go. That's kind of like what the chicken coop looks like. There's an inside portion. I'll show you really quick actually. So let's go. It's a little darker, but this is kind of what the inside of the coop looks like. They've got their like nesting rack there, or their resting rack, and then so there we go. And this is some of the chickens. So you'll see. Let's go in. We've got some used, this is kind of where they hang out majority of the time, but there's just like some used furniture to give them some places to climb on, and used bathroom pieces, and kind of just a Mod Podge of everything really. So here's the coop. You may have noticed the rosemary behind me, and there is a copious amount of rosemary. But there are 4 other spices that they grow here on the land and dry and use later on and use to cook with. So we constantly have a fresh and endless supply of rosemary. The second is sage. Then we have some mint, which we trimmed down because, as you know, mint is very invasive. We have a bunch of basil, which I have previously done some seed saving for the next season, and obviously oregano. We're in Italy. So those are the 5 that we primarily grow on this land. And I'm gonna walk you through some of the fruits, vegetables that we are currently cultivating on the land for fall. All right, so we are in the lower garden on the property, and I wanted to highlight one of my favorite features of this property, and that is the water collection tanks. There is a network of water collection tanks on this property, and I love it because number 1, it's cheap, but number 2, it's sustainable. And it may be unintended, but I love it. And so the network of water tanks help to water all of the plants and animals that they house here. So yay. And now I'll just highlight a couple of the plants and trees that we have in this lower garden. So of course we have the sage, which I mentioned previously, but we also have an orange tree. We have some tomatoes, some parsley, some basil. We also have some, this is a lime tree. So in spring or summer, I think, is when that'll come around. A mandarin tree. Of course, being in Italy, we've got some grapes growing on the vine. We have three different types of grapes. So we grow grapes to eat as a fruit, but we also grow grapes to obviously then later turn into wine. Okay, I'm going to take you into where we produce the wine, which is a very important aspect to Italian culture. But here we are. This is it. This is where the magic happens. So we've got some tomatoes drying. But yeah, typically this is where we'll put the barrel and mix all of the grapes where they can begin to ferment and we can create some wine. All right, so this part of the property is where we process a lot of the fruits and vegetables. We might cook them. We have a pizza oven. So in the summertime, we like to make pizzas and bread and everything's from scratch. So this kind of turns into a little bit of a workshop sometimes, tying garlic and onions and all of those things. So we have a large table workspace that we use, and we also have these side tables, and this is kind of where the cats like to hang out. So I don't see any of them right now, but I'm sure you'll see some of them running throughout the video. All right, the piece de la resistance, the garden, and this is about 400 square meters or so worth of land. That's our quadrant for our part of the family. So this property is actually split amongst 4 siblings, and Stefano's mother is one of those 4 siblings. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you guys what we're currently growing in the garden. First up are the strawberries. This patch has provided so many berries for us to use over the winter months. Moving on to calabrese broccoli. And what is calabrese broccoli? Well, it's the typical broccoli crown that you'd expect to find at a Canadian grocery store. They're great steamed, good in soups, hearty, delicious, good greens, and we have plenty of varieties here in Italy. And in the same family, we have here cauliflower and broccoli di Natale, which means Christmas broccoli, more commonly known to us as rapini. Here's one you might recognize, and it is red lettuce. And right next to it, we have some yellow and green beans. This next vegetable happens to be one of Stefano's mother's favorites. It is fennel, and we pronounce it as finocchio in Italian. She eats it fresh, raw, she loves it, and so we have a lot of it. A few more greens for you here. This is insalata riccia, or we know it as frisée. Another row of broccoli has been thrown in here next to the scarola, which is a green that we usually eat boiled or steamed here in Italy. Really high in minerals and vitamins and all that good stuff. And you'll notice when I zoom in on the plants here that there's some bugs that may have been eating away, and that's because a lot of the gardening we do on this homestead is organic. So we don't use any like pesticides or unnatural chemicals. Look what we got here, some tomatoes, just about finished for the season. And next to it is a bunch of minestra, which is a really mineral-rich green. There are a couple fruit trees hanging out in the background here. These are apricot trees. And next to them we have a blackberry bush. And that is just about it for this side of the garden. I'm going to take you guys over to the other side of this little slice of heaven and introduce you to a few more of the plants that we harvest. I think we can all agree that no Italian garden would be complete without grapes for making wine. There are 2 varieties that we grow here on this property. The first is uva di tavola nero, which translates to black table grape. And the second variety is uva di tavola bianco moscato, which translates to white moscato table grape. You'll notice that this garden does not have a typical vineyard setup. We've kind of encouraged these grapes to grow in a natural way, and It really just adds to the character of this homestead and the history behind it. I really feel like these vines just give us a beautiful backdrop and a gorgeous green natural wall around the property. Oh, look, here's another strawberry patch. Up next, we've got peperoncini, aka chili peppers, and these little guys will get dried up and used in cooking over the course of the year. Moving on to melanzana, or as we call it, eggplant, and next to it, a bunch of cauliflower. And these guys might not be showing it yet, but they can get pretty big, and we eat a lot of cauliflower here in autumn and winter months. Oh, there's one poking through now. There are still a few bean plants in here that are finished and need to be ripped out, and this is one of them. But right next to it, we have a row of green peppers. And these are a little different than the Canadian bell peppers that we're used to. They're not as bitter. They grow a little bit small. They kind of look like jalapenos, but they're not. Although I'm not the biggest fan of these green peppers, these next peppers I'm going to show you are really delicious, and they are perfect for stuffing and roasting in the oven. And we call these little guys peperoni pappacelli. And I don't really have a translation for you, but they're these cute little, look at them, round, gorgeous peppers. They don't get to be as large as the bell peppers we see at home, and they're typically red in color. And just look at all the beans we got to eat over the summer. That's one thing I really love about living here in Italy, is we do eat what is in season, and we're very fortunate to have such a long growing season here. And the last and final row is chili peppers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Another thing that you may have noticed throughout this video, and something that I love about this garden, is that you may have noticed some basil growing around the edges, or maybe a few stalks of celery that have been replanted, which is awesome. And another blue rain barrel. And there are quite a few of these actually scattered around the property, you'll see. But this garden is honestly just so incredible, and Stefano's father works so hard every day for our family to be able to eat such high quality and natural food sources, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of this family and to have the opportunity to come up here once in a while and help out. So I'm now taking you up to the next level of the garden, which we've cleared to make more room for growing grapes and some fruit trees. It's below Stefano's aunt's part of the property, which is on the back there. And then his uncle has a garden right next to our parcel, where he also grows vegetables and fruits for his family, and he has a flock of chickens there as well that he raises and gets eggs from. Just beside his uncle's parcel is a short cement wall that grows wild asparagus, chamomile, basil, arugula, and we'll just pluck what we need when we need it. And that is about it for the garden tour. There's one of our feline friends. This one's really friendly, but a lot of the cats on the land, there are so many wild cats here, and a lot of them have no interest in humans. Well, that's a cat thing anyways, right? But I'd say there's maybe a dozen or so that hang around and that we feed. We have cat food for them, and we give them like chicken scraps and stuff like that. So yeah, tons of kitties on the land. So there you have it, Stefano's family property. I really hope you enjoyed this tour, because I love this little piece of land and I love coming up here. It really is a retreat for us, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to share it here with you today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so that you'll be notified next Sunday when I share another part of this modern hippie life with all of you.